This is Korea News for February 14, 2022. As of 9 p.m. on the 13th, the number of new confirmed cases of the new corona in Korea has surpassed 53,000. According to the quarantine authorities and local governments such as Seoul, the number of people who tested positive for the coronavirus in the country from midnight to 9 p.m. on the same day was 53,390. There were 433 more people than the previous day's 52,957, which was the highest number for the same time period. According to the Central Defense Countermeasures Headquarters on the 14th, as of midnight the previous day, there were 56,431 new confirmed cases of Corona-19 in Korea. It recorded the highest number for 2 days in a row, an increase of 1,490 from the 12th. 54,941. As of midnight on the same day, the number of new confirmed cases is expected to be in the mid to late 50,000s. A total of 53,390 new confirmed cases were counted from midnight to 9 p.m. the day before by the quarantine authorities in each local government including Seoul, 433 more than the 52,957 at the same time the day before. As of midnight the previous day, a total of 214,869 people were treated at home, exceeding 200,000 for the first time since home treatment for COVID-19 in Korea. The quarantine authorities predicted that the number of at-home treatments will increase significantly in the future according to the Omicron epidemic. Only the management group received health status monitoring twice a day. In addition, the authorities decided to conduct the fourth dose of the corona vaccine centered on high-risk groups to minimize damage, and announced a specific vaccination plan at a briefing at 2:10 p.m. on the same day. It is expected that the target for the fourth vaccination will include immunocompromised persons and residents of nursing facilities. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, KCDC, announced at a back briefing on the 8th that it was preparing to establish a plan for the fourth vaccination against immunocompromised patients. Prior to this, Young Eun-kyung, head of the Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, KCDC, said at a plenary meeting of the National Assembly's Health and Welfare Committee on the 7th that the fourth vaccination plan was being reviewed for people with weakened immune systems and residents of nursing homes. Regarding the timing of the fourth vaccination, the director of the Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said, "We are considering keeping a 4-month interval from the third vaccination." However, even if the number of new confirmed cases continues to increase, the quarantine authorities are planning to ease social distancing if the medical system, such as the management of severe patients, remains stable. The current social distancing measures, which limit the number of private gatherings to 6 people and close restaurants and cafes until 9 p.m., will remain in effect until the 20th suggested. It is reported that the government is considering easing restrictions on business hours, including restaurants, even on weekdays, as early as during the week, seeing the increase in the number of confirmed cases. Accordingly, attention is focused on whether the restrictions on the operation of multi-use facilities will be lifted and the quarantine pass will be changed as the current distancing measures are adjusted within this week. Meanwhile, the Novavax vaccine will also start on the same day. Novavax vaccine is the 5th COVID-19 vaccine to be used in Korea after AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Janssen, and Moderna. This vaccine is supplied for one person, so it can be inoculated immediately without subdivision, and it can be stored refrigerated, 2-8 degrees Celsius, for easy storage and transportation. The authorities take advantage of these advantages to administer Novavax vaccination to high-risk groups such as nursing facility residents and inpatients in nursing hospitals through self-vaccination at medical institutions and visits to medical staff. In addition, those over 18 years of age who are not vaccinated can receive Novavax vaccine at public health centers and designated consigned medical institutions through the Kakao/Naver same-day inoculation service and the preliminary list of medical institutions. Major candidates from the ruling and opposition parties completed their registration as candidates for the National Election Commission all at once on the 13th, the first day of registration of candidates for the 20th presidential election. The presidential election to be held on the 9th of next month will go through the candidate registration period from the 13th to the 14th, and the official campaign will begin on the 15th. The details of the fortunes of the presidential candidates were also disclosed. Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung reported about 3.217 billion won, and People's Strength candidate Yoon Suk-yeol reported a fortune of 7.745 billion won. In the case of candidate Yoon, 6,899 million won of the reported amount was the property of his wife, Kim Kun-hee. People's Party candidate Ahn Cheol-soo reported his fortune of about 1979.85 billion won. Most of On's assets were occupied by 1.86 million Ahn lab-listed stocks, valued at 183.954 billion won. Candidate Sang Jong-shim reported a fortune of about 146.2 billion won. On Sunday, the 13th, presidential candidate Ahn Cheol-soo of the People's Party issued a statement calling for the unification of the opposition from presidential candidate Yoon Suk-yeol, the power of the people. The People's Power, who accepted On's proposal, is struggling with a strategy to respond. It is positive that the door to unification of the opposition has been opened, but it is because there are many variables, such as the possibility of adverse selection by the passport supporters, to readily receive a unified opinion poll method. That's why candidate Yoon said, "I've heard about the opinion polls, and I'll think about it a little bit while saying I have a positive evaluation of On's proposal." A member of the People's Strength Council, Jung Jin, also said, "There is a concern that if the unification negotiations over the method of public opinion polls are prolonged, various allegations, such as the controversy over the misuse of corporate cards by Lee's wife, Kim Hye-kyung, are also raised." Accordingly, the attitude of the people is that unification through public opinion polls cannot be accepted. A key member of the election headquarters said, "It is not that we don't know that candidate Ahn broke down while weighing unity with the Democratic Party." President Lee Jun-suk posted a picture of Son Goku in the palm of the Buddha on his Facebook page and said, "I have no choice but to think that it was a Hollywood action that the People's Party made a comment that attacked our party in such a way that there has been no unification." Rather, the People's Power urged Ahn to make a courageous decision for the unification of the opposition on the same day, and counter-proposed that a single candidate be decided through a discussion rather than an opinion poll. However, it is a concern of the people that if unification is completely broken after the conflict over the unification method, the strong responsibility theory will have to be directed towards Yoon. At a luncheon held by candidate Yoon and senior officials on the same day, it is said that the opinions of "let's prospectively review the public opinion polls and there is no election" were mixed. One attendee said, "Candidate Yoon just listened without any mention." With only 24 days left before the presidential election, it is pointed out that Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung is moving away from the center of the news. Candidate Lee is far away from the two issues of megaton that shook the presidential election. With the issue of unification of the opposition candidates rising to the fore and the controversy over political retaliation, the claim that this candidate is invisible is being raised. In terms of issue-making, this means that candidate Lee Suk-yeol lags behind presidential candidate Yoon Suk-yeol. On the 13th, Ahn Cheol-soo, the presidential candidate of the People's Party, officially proposed to Yoon the unification of the opposition candidates. Earlier, on the 10th, President Moon shook the political scene by saying, "I express my strong anger and demand an apology in response to candidate Yoon's remarks about the Moon Jae-in government will investigate the corruption if he comes to power." As for the issue of unification of the opposition, candidates Yoon Suk-yeol and Ahn Cheol-soo are newsmakers. The controversy over political retaliation became a confrontational structure between Moon Jae-in and Yoon Suk-yeol. Candidate Yoon is in the spotlight on both issues, while candidate Lee's place is invisible. In response, candidate Lee's side has a plan to raise the level of offensive against candidate Yoon and to take the lead in the election through economic and people's livelihood promises in line with the slogan of "Competent Economic President." There is also a trend of optimistic reaction in some parts of the Democratic Party, saying that after Yoon's remarks in political retaliation, pro-music and female supporters are observed to turn to support Lee. The reflex effect is appearing even if this candidate does not need to intervene. However, concerns are also raised. If the aftermath of political retaliation continues, the theory of regime change against the Moon Jae-in administration could be highlighted. A middle-level lawmaker from the Democratic Party emphasized, "We need to think about how to change the public opinion about regime change." Another senior official said, "We need to get out of the Moon Jae-in vs Yoon Suk-yeol structure as soon as possible." Thank you for watching today. Please like and subscribe.